Hi everybody, it's Susan from Sunrise Quilt Studio. In today's video I am working on my long arm on a small quilt that I made from some blocks from the Stash Buster series of 2020. And I have not done much in the way of planning the quilting ahead of time for this quilt. So I am, in this video, what I am doing is explaining to you my thoughts as I am working through the quilt and coming up with the designs. Now I do this quite a bit. I kind of 50% of the time I will plan things out ahead of time. The other 50% of the time I just put the quilt on and then make my decisions at that point. So this is one of those quilts that I am doing that. And so I thought I would just show you how I kind of work through in my mind what I think is going to work for this quilt and then go ahead and quilt it in. Now it may seem risky to do it this way, and there is some risk doing it, but I have been quilting on the long arm for 18 years now, so I am pretty comfortable with the quilting that I do. I am comfortable with knowing what it's going to look like when I get it done. But a lot of people aren't, and they prefer to have everything planned out ahead of time, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that at all. In fact, that's pretty smart. But I find out with me, I find that when I plan ahead of time, I'm still going to wind up changing my mind once I have it on the machine anyway. So it really doesn't save me any time. So I hope you will enjoy this video. I started working on this quilt earlier today, and I worked on the sashing areas, and what I did was I marked it off every 2 inches. These are 8-inch blocks, so I marked the sashing off every 2 inches and with a air soluble marker, and then I just did a crosshatch in the sashing. So I'm going to do that all the way through the quilt, and now I'm working on the first block, and this one is called Triangles and Squares, and I'm gonna keep up with kind of like with the crosshatch theme, only in the colored squares I'm going to go through the centers instead of doing like a square and a square look. So I'm just going to start up here and anchor my threads and then just go straight down. And let's see, I'm going to go ahead and stitch in the ditch up to this corner and then go across. Then stitch in the ditch down. And then go on up. And then stitch in the ditch and go across the other way. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and stitch in the ditch around these squares. I think it'll look a little better if I do. So I'm just going to go all the way down. And I already ditched this one, but I'm just going to go ahead and go over it. And let's see, I'm going to go ahead and break thread. This is the first block I've done, so I'm not I haven't figured out a quilting path on it. I could take time and figure that out, but I just haven't done that. So let me grab these over here. going to do the last line. Okay. Yeah, I like that better. Okay, now what I'm going to do in the background is I'm going to do some continuous curve, and that'll be it for the block. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And let's see, this just needs one curve. Okay, and I'm going to go into the center and do the same thing. Now the thread I'm using is Omni thread. It's 40 weight, and the color is cream. Okay, so there is that block. And now I'm going to move over to the next one. Let's move the camera, see if you can see that a little better. All these little threads in there. Okay, and let's go to the next block. Okay, this block is called This and That, and it's an economy block, or square and a square block is what it is. So there's a lot of different names for this block. There's 3 names right there for you. And with this one, I'm going to do some point to point out here and stitch in the ditch here. So we'll get started with that. It's just something a little bit different. This is not something that I've tried before, but we'll see how this goes. So I'm going to ditch over to the next mark. And I'm going to ditch to the point, and then I'm going to stitch in the ditch here. Okay, I'm going to come around, get up to this point again. And then I'm just going to do a cross hatch here. In the ditch, I'm going to go back up so that I can stitch over here, and then down here. Okay, and I think that's it for this block. I could put more quilting in here pretty easily, but I think I'm going to let this go. This quilt is pretty graphic with all the bright colors and the white contrast. So anything I do in the background, it could go either way. It could be completely lost, or it could detract from the blocks. So I'm trying to keep it so that it's not quite as distracting as it could be. So the stitch in the ditch will help fill in the amount of quilting. Like this block here on this side has more quilting than this one. So I could do a little bit more in here. Let me do a continuous curve in here. Or instead, let me do, I'm just going to outline. Okay, that helps. Balancing your quilting throughout the quilt is important so that you don't get a floppy feel in one area. I think this will help. Okay, this block is called Signatures for Golden Memories. So this is a signature block. You would have people sign their names in the white spaces. And I'm going to go ahead and do some stitch in the ditch right here. And then I'm actually going to go ahead and do a outline stitch here. I'm going to come back down, and then I'm going to do an outline here. Okay, come on down. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do actually another, I'm going to do 2 outlines on this. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to go ahead and break the thread. And it's going to stitch around the center quarter square triangle. Okay, let's go on out. And I'm going to do one more square of quilting around that, and then take a look at it and see if I feel like I need to do more. Okay, this is what I have so far. I did something completely different there than I did here, so I'm going to take those out. Okay. All right, so I've got that, changed that, and I want to do something in here. I'm just going to do the continuous curve like I did in the first block. All right. Okay. So there we have the signatures for Golden Memories block. And let's go on to the next one. Okay, this is the old Maids puzzle. And with this one, I'm going to do a combination. I'm going to do some crosshatch in these two, and then I'm just going to do some outline in there, I think. I'm going to do some stitch in the ditch between the squares in here, or the units. And my ditch is on this side, and then it switches over to the other side here. Okay, I'm going to come over here and do some outline stitching. Okay. I think I might need to do some stitch in the ditch there. So let me trying to figure out where to start here. Okay, go here. then in here I'm going to cross hatch. Oops. I broke my thread here. I don't know if it was that intersection or if I ran over the thread. I'm not sure what I did, but I'll just take care of it. Okay, and I think that'll be it for this block. And I gotta do something about, I got my threads out of the way. I need to do something about this. So I think, let me do some outline again. Actually, I'm going to mimic what I did here. I'm going to just go and then stitch in the ditch. Okay. All right, and then do the same down here. Let's do this. Alrighty. Okay. So there we go. Now I've got 4 of the blocks done. I have 12 more to go, plus of sashing. So that's what I have so far, and I will just advance the quilt and keep on quilting. Here's the completed quilt. You can see all the ruler work that I did in it with the sashing as well as within the blocks. So I just kind of kept with the look of the piece blocks. They're all pretty geometric. So I stuck pretty much with that, except for a little bit of continuous curve. And the binding is a purple, so that goes along with some of the piecing width in the quilt. Now I haven't named this quilt yet, so if you have any suggestions, write a comment and let me know what you think this should be. This is a 42-inch size quilt. It's 42 inches square, so it would be a good size for a lap quilt or for a child's quilt. So that's it for this video. So I hope you enjoyed it, and if so, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe if you haven't already, and click the notification bell so you'll be notified when the next video comes up. And in the meantime, I hope you're all staying safe and healthy, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. For more quilting ideas, click on the video links, and to keep up with my latest projects, click on the subscribe button. I hope to see you again soon.